So, hello everyone, and welcome to our group discussion of learning styles and strategies. My name is Sergio, and I am with Adriana, Jennifer, and Dayana. Today we'll be covering various aspects of learning styles and strategies based on the readings provided. So let's get started with the first question we were wondering about, which is how does personality influence learning strategies? What do you think?
Depends of the motivation and confidence of each person according to their personality traits, and they can be rated by the intrinsic motivation and how they manage it to engage to their learning strategies and accomplish their goals and their learning. Also, it depends also from the adaptability, and I think that it will remark about the learner will remark ability, the effectiveness of their learning strategies, or they need to look for a new one. I think maybe do you have another information, something else to say?
Well, I agree with the things that you say,
Maybe
Jennifer. We have to take into account that as teachers to be, we are going to face different um, different minds, students with different minds, with different backgrounds. So they came with those thoughts to class. So personalities, it's more like either thinking it's everything, right? So according to their personality, students are going to have also their learning style. So as teachers, we need to take into account that everyone is different. Okay, I think we we have to take into account that we live in a society where learning methodology is not taught in a school. So what Sergio was saying is that what happens when the student doesn't know the label of their learning styles, right? For example, I took a course at university that it was learning methodology, and I could put a label to my own learning style at university, but not at a school. And I want to emphasize that when people know or have information about themselves, they tend to look for more information um, to get more ideas, more strategies. And I think it's really important the teacher's assessment for it, right? For the students to dig deep in their own learning styles and also strategies.
You made me think about this question. Do you think there are some drawbacks students know their learning style?
Disadvantages, you mean, right?
Yeah,
Um, Maybe it could happen two things. Or one thing is like I know that I am auditory student, and I am only focus. I am going to focus only on that class. For example, the teacher is always talking. I am going to listen, pay attention, and focus on that class. But maybe happen this scenario where the teacher is using, I don't know, too many handouts, and I don't like it. And I know that I am an auditory student. I'm not going to pay attention to that. Maybe it's going to become a course that I don't like it. Maybe this could happen in adolescents and teenagers feeling, I think.
Yeah, for example, also it depends of a lot of from the teacher, so we must be prepared about how helping our students. Because in a case that I had in the past, I had a student. He was around, well, that's an example only. He was around 8 years old, so and he didn't know how to study because yes, in the class we saw the problems that he had in other different subjects, and there wasn't a good background or a good help at home, so it was not it couldn't be reinforced what he was learning in the class. So it was very interesting, but now I suppose he's better now because he learned how to study what strategies, but no, no by names, but what is
Important.
learning style he was appropriate for him. And also the I remember the psychologist came to the class just to make an observation, and he realized that the teacher was not prepared because he didn't notice at the beginning. I mean, the tutor from the class, he didn't know at the beginning that he had that problem because he thought that he was I don't know, very distracted student, and maybe he was thinking that he had TDA, but it was not the case. So also, it's very important to know what do we have to do if we have, for example, in our class, children, maybe teenagers and adults, and even for adults, they do not have learning styles. So what we could do in that situation? Do you have an idea?
I think, based on my experience, we as teachers are not don't have the option. We are obligated to make the highest don't possible effort to know how our students learn. And based on my experience, every student is totally different from another. And every session we cannot just tag one student with one learning strategy or style because he or she can have a different behavior on different classes, and it can that's something I have seen before. It's some mistake I have seen before. And because we say, this student is making some summary on the first class of the semester, and we think that it's the best option for him or her to study. But probably in the second class, he started to make some maps or drawings about the lecture. We thought that the best for him was to make him or her do a summary. So we just kept him making summaries, while that's not the best option for him or her, probably. So we must be constantly observing our students because they can show um, different behaviors on different classes. And well, I was wondering about you, maybe as a teacher or as a student or as a friend. Do you think that students know their own learning style, or do they have some idea about it?
Yeah, according to the reading, it says Rebecca Oxford. It says that some people will learn just listening, others will learn visually, and the other ones will learn kinesthetic. So we must to pay attention to those. At the beginning, will be difficult because it takes a while to meet our students, but passing the time, you can notice it. And as the teacher said in the class, we cannot be focused only on one student or two. Must be focused on the group. But even the strategy, we can change it to that student who needs to develop maybe or to know better their learning style. And so I remember that the teacher mentioned that that's the task of our of us as a teacher because it will be diverse audience. And also I'm agree with Rebecca Oxford when she mentions that also if they are extrovert or introvert, even with introvert, can be a little bit difficult to work with because uh, they don't show their emotions, even though they don't share their thoughts. And also, it's she's people says that it remarks the difference between the effectiveness of the learning style and the teacher must to change or not the strategy because we can fail. We cannot use the same strategy always. We have to change it. Um, and I remember that the teacher said we have to be more creative because just being prepared. Remember? You remember that? Because
Yeah. Sustenance.
Um, well, as teachers, we need to be creative. We also need to use, I think, every kind of strategy idea to make students learn to transmit our information knowledge, right? And I want to point out some characteristics that Jennifer said that it was we as teachers to be work with group, a group, right? With a class that here in Arequipa or in Peru are for about 25 students, kind of. So how we as a teacher can enhance the social skills, especially with these students that have an introverted personality. How can we make them socialize or be better at that skills if they have that personality? What do you think? But what would you do if, well, maybe the focus on the activity is speaking, is speaking. We are going to develop the speaking skills, right? How can students can work along and develop these skills, right? I don't think it will be possible. I mean, you say that if a student likes to be alone, likes to work alone, do individual things, maybe that will work for some activities, but not for all, and also not for developing skills that we as teachers want to develop. Also, I was pointing uh, speaking skills, for example. How can we develop this skill if the student needs, well, like to work alone? It's not possible.
yeah, it's not possible. Whereas I was remembering a student that I had to last year. He loves to work alone, but it was a kind of challenge. I remember to learn a language, for example, French. He was studying French and English and somewhere else besides school, and it was a huge challenge for him to interact with others because always he was, in maths and science, he was always working alone. And when he said that I don't want us to be in a group, the teacher allowed him to work alone. But when he went somewhere else, when the teacher, a different teacher, was asking him to into a group to work for a certain exercise, he always refused. I remember he always refused to work in with the rest, and everybody was complaining. Teacher, he didn't join the group. He wasn't in the meetings. He didn't report anything to our work, and it's I think he had a problem. He was younger, and I don't know why he has a certain illness that it is his behavior changed completely. So it's always he wants to stay alone. Even in the family, I don't know how he is, but the parents, I remember we talked to them last year because we noticed this problem frequently, and we wanted to know what happened. And they say, I don't know, suddenly we saw this, and he was involved in a situation, and then he changed completely. And I don't know, it was difficult to help him because he showed all the time that he didn't need any help from anyone, so he was like autosufficient. So everything that he wanted to learn, he was looking on the internet, and he is very intelligent and he's very smart. So I remember that he loves to read. So everything that he needs to know, he'll look the information on internet, and it was enough. But but he's very smart, I know. And unfortunately we didn't apply, we couldn't reach, we couldn't connect with the student because he always was breaking that connection, and he wanted to be a part. And for the school, yeah, there is a possibility to study online, but yes, he loved that option. But for the parents, it was necessary for his kid to socialize with others. It was a big problem. Hmm. Okay, so as a conclusion, what we could say about learning strategies and about the what we read the articles.
Learning styles and strategies are influenced by some things that are not controllable by us. For example, some biological things like biorhythms, sustenance, and education influence. I mean, being biological, starting at the morning can boost the experience of a factors of a student, and it can diminish the efficiency of another student. Also, having a drink or a coffee while studying can influence the student independently from his or her strategies. Also, the location, maybe some kind of light can affect the effectiveness of the session study. And so we must analyze those influences also. And well, that's what I think I had to say.
Okay. My conclusion, we need to take account that every single student is different, so we have to take account their personality, the context where they come from, their background, and maybe some students already uh, had English before, but for others might be the first class, for example. And we have to take account that some biological things that Sergio mentioned. And we as a teachers need to try to make our pedagogical class the most enjoyable, educational, and provide them with all the tools that to make them um, learn and get the information, and most of all, make their information meaningful, right? Well, something that is the base of learning.
Yes, and as okay. So as a conclusion, I could say that as teachers, we must to have training and in order to identify our students, their where students learning strategies, and we can use surveys, interviews. As Sergio said, now we must take time to know our students, and also for helping our students individually, we can um, well, I could say discern which strategies are most relevant to their learning styles, because always we are focused on them, but maybe we must be more patient and, understand better their own learning process, because as Diana said, we need we need time, and we need to understand individually, because all our students are will be different for sure.
Okay, guys. So that's it, I think, for